every time I walked in the room, it just grated on me. You know that feeling where it's just like, oh, there's too much stuff in here. Hey friends, it's Betsy from the Flourishing place, where we talk about all things cleaning, decluttering, organizing, and homekeeping. And today I am back with another episode of Simplifying Our Home. I am so excited because today we are talking about common areas. The living room, the family room, even something like a den or a playroom. It's an area that basically the whole family uses, and probably when you have people over, they're in that area as well. For us in our home, we have a living room. We don't have a family room. We don't have a playroom or a den. The living room is really where life happens in our home. Now, everybody's season of life is different. You're going to notice in today's video, I talk a lot about toy decluttering and toy storage and organization, and that may not be the season of life you're in. So for you, it may be different clutter that you are struggling with in the common areas of your home. But for me, with a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, toy clutter is a real struggle. And so I'm going to talk a little bit today about dealing with that and kind of the real boots on the ground, how we deal with toys coming in, and how I deal with toys when they're getting overwhelming and it feels like we are needing to declutter. You'll notice this video has a little bit of a different format because what I've done before is I'm kind of taking you through as I'm decluttering a space. And this is a little bit different because in the living room area of our home, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of getting it decluttered, where things all have a place, the stuff that we don't need has been donated or given away, but that does not stop the influx of stuff coming into the house, the influx of toys. Regardless of whether you're in the same season of life as me or not, this is something I think we all deal with, is this influx of stuff that comes in. And that is what is so frustrating oftentimes when you declutter, or you think about decluttering and you think, why should I do this? Because I'm just going to end up back where I started. I declutter and then a bunch of new stuff comes in and just fills up the spots that I freed up in my decluttering. That's how it can feel with toys. That's how it can feel with stuff in your common areas. You get things cleaned out, you get surfaces cleaned off, and then before you know it, stuff just piles up again. Toys is just one example, but I'm going to take you through kind of what we have in our living room for toy organization and toy storage, and then show you kind of how I get rid of toys that we no longer need, how I rotate toys through, how to check and make sure that my kids are okay with things, and there can be a lot of sticking points. And so I want to take you through that in our home today. So currently I am in our garage, and that's where our coffee table is right now. And this is our coffee table for reasons that have a perfectly good explanation, but I'm not going to explain in this video. So currently our coffee table is in the garage, but usually this sits in the living room in front of the sofa. I will insert a picture. And I show you this because this coffee table with these baskets in here. This is the catch-all space. There are all kinds of toys in here. I have tried at different points to organize these baskets according to, different categories of what the kids play with or whatever. It's pointless. It's silly, and it's just frustrating. So in these baskets are toys that they're currently playing with. The only basket that I kind of sort of organize is this one has cars in it, or vehicles, I should say. They're not all cars. In that basket, but all the rest of them, stuff gets just kind of tossed in there. This has worked really well for me, having this system where I have these baskets, because this is where all the toys get thrown. The ones that you just want to throw away as soon as they come in the door, the ones that are from the Dollar Tree, the ones that are from a Happy Meal or from, just random things. Basically, I'm just going to take you through these baskets and show you. These baskets, believe it or not, have been decluttered, but I periodically declutter these probably once every month, once every 6 weeks. They're either getting full, or I just have a little bit of time to go through and to figure out what the kids are still playing with and what they're not. Because here's the thing, kids, they bring the most random stuff home. They get attached to the most random stuff. And you're like, oh, where do I put this? And your most selfish thoughts, it's like, this doesn't fit the aesthetic of our home. Where am I going to put this thing? So my answer is these baskets. That's where I put those things, is these baskets. And so it's very accessible for the kids, super easy to just throw in there and put stuff away, super easy for them to find stuff. And then I can just periodically go through and take things out that I've noticed they've stopped playing with and kind of forgotten about, or they're broken or whatever. So this is just to give you an example of the randomness of what is in these containers. This is a package to contact solution cleaner. Somebody really liked that and was using it for something. Here's a mini toy garbage truck, a little wood car transporter set, a fidget spinner down here. Here is a trailer that goes to something. This is, yeah, slinky, self-explanatory. Not a makeup brush. This is a street sweeper. Did you know that? This can also be a street sweeper. So that's in there, and a globe, a little mini globe. The biggest thing that I have learned as my kids are growing is their toys are not going to fit into my idea of what I think is aesthetically pleasing, but more often than not, they find stuff and they just latch onto those things, and it's like, okay. And so finding storage solutions like this, having these baskets, is so helpful because I don't have to look at it selfishly, and then it's there for them anytime that they want to play with it. Now you might be asking, what about the kid who knows when you remove something? Like I was showing you that contact lens cleaning solution box, like they would know if the contact solution box was gone, like they would know. Yes, I have a kiddo like that, and I think that's pretty common. There's at least one of those in every family. And so it's the kid that is, you know, kind of the detailer, and they notice the details. What I have done with regard to that is that child is old enough now that I have started actually asking them about particular things, if they play with it anymore, if they're ready to part with it. That's one thing. I don't do that with every single thing though. We're not quite to the point where that child can fully manage decluttering and organizing and all that kind of stuff. And so I will do that some of the time, and then some of the time I will show you another area where I kind of have a midpoint between stuff being in the regular toy rotation, like in these baskets, and then stuff actually like going to the donation center. I kind of have a middle point, so I'll show you that. You see this upside down diaper box up there that is not stored super well. You'll notice it's up out of reach of the kids. They don't even notice that it's up there. That has a lot of toys in it. And those are toys that they have enjoyed playing with in the past, but they have not been playing with recently at all. So I put those toys in there, but because they are toys that have been very precious to them, I have been very slow to get rid of them because I want to be very careful. Maybe you have had that joyful experience where you decluttered your kids' toys, you took stuff off to the donation center or gave it away to friends or whatever, and then the next morning your kid wakes up and is like, where's my blue truck? And you're like, they haven't played with that blue truck for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they want it, and that's just the worst. And so I am fearful of that, and so what I do is I put those toys in that box, and then I give it a certain amount of time. I can't tell you the exact amount of time, honestly, just periodically taking down that box, looking to see what's in there, and if I feel reasonably secure that we're good to go, then I will take those things to the donation center. With regard to, do the kids ever ask for things? Yes, they do. I put a bunch of toys in that box, put it up on the shelf, and the very next day I had a kid ask for something that they hadn't asked for ages, and I came out here, took it out of the box, brought it to them. They asked for it by name, that specific toy, and so I brought it to them, and they, to this day, are continuing to enjoy playing with that toy. So I am definitely not reckless and cavalier in terms of tossing toys or carting them off to the donation center. I definitely take my time, especially when it's things that are precious to my kids or have been precious to my kids in the past, because I want to keep their trust. That's a huge thing, obviously, for all parents and kids. You want to keep your kids' trust, and so I want to be very careful to treat their things respectfully. But you would be surprised at how many things can disappear, and by disappear I don't mean permanently, I mean like in a box like I showed you up there, can disappear, and the kids don't notice. All they notice is the open space, and they immediately find something else to play with, and it's just not a big deal. And so sometimes I think as parents, we make it bigger in our minds in terms of how awful it's going to be to declutter the toys or get rid of toys, or our kids are going to hate us or whatever. And the fact is, kids are just so adaptable, and they very easily adapt to playing with something different and finding something different, and they don't miss what is not right in front of them. This is the second area of storage in our living room, and again, I'll insert a better picture. This is a bench that normally sits near our front door, and that has 3 cube bins in it, and then I'm going to show you what's in each of those bins. Bin 1 is the train set. You can see all the train stuff in there, and ta-da! This is how it looks most of the time, laid out across our living room floor, and I love it. These are our Duplo blocks, and again, a great open-ended toy. They easily get put into this bin. We have not entered the Lego phase yet, thankfully, so these are easy to pick up and put away. But I love this. I mean, look at this. It's so great. And these are the magnet tiles that go in this bin. Those are 3 bins that we keep in the living room because the kids are constantly playing with those. They have a lot of pieces, but they are super fast to pick up and put away if people are coming over or we just need more floor space. I have 2 other bins like that that do not live in the living room, kind of in the common area, but they're in the kids' bedroom in the closet. That is the Marble Run set and the play food. The kids play with those, but they don't play with them as often as they play with the Duplo blocks, magnet tiles, and the train set. And so those live in their closet. They're easy to access for me if the kids want to play with them, but they're not out all the time. So in answer to the question, what do I do about stemming the flow of toys that are coming in? The answer is really that I don't. And that might be unpopular or seem kind of weird, but my husband and I do our part to make sure that we're not bringing in things unnecessarily for our kids that would cause more clutter and that would make things more chaotic. We tend to give them gifts for their birthdays, things like a bike, or one year we did a little mini trampoline, you know, things like that that are not like small cluttery toys that can get easily broken. But small cluttery toys, in my opinion, are that's just part of life with little kids. And so instead of belly aching about it and just trying to like stop it at the door, it's fine. The kids enjoy them. They enjoy them for a short amount of time, some things for a longer amount of time, and then we just pass them on. But if you have a way to corral those things, if you have a way to keep them accessible but easy to put away, so that you don't feel like that stuff is just strewn all around the house everywhere, then it's gonna go a long way towards helping things feel decluttered and helping you feel like you're not drowning in kids stuff. I'm actually really thankful that we don't have a playroom, and I have thought that many times since having kids, because it feels like, now this is not always the case, but sometimes it can feel like when you have a playroom, it's more space to fill with toys. And the thing about having the living room as the common area, the primary place where the kids play, is it forces us to keep inventory low in terms of the toys that we have on hand. It forces us to keep things decluttered, to keep things organized, because we can't just shut the door on the living room when people come over. It's our living room. It's the first room that people see when they come in the front door. And so it forces us to really keep things very simplified, very easy to put away, so that it's not a big deal when we have people over. I will tell you, there was a period of time where the toys were building up in our house, and I did not have good spots for everything to live. I wish I had filmed at that time what the living room looked like. I mean, it wasn't out of control, but it was definitely more full than it is now. And was starting to have that thing where toys were lining the walls, and it just, every time I walked in the room, it just grated on me. You know that feeling where it's just like, oh, there's too much stuff in here. There's too much furniture in here. There's too many toys in here. And the more that we have gradually cut back on furniture, we've cut back on toys in this room, and the more we have opened up this room, the better the kids have played. And I'm sure if you've watched YouTube videos on toy decluttering, or if you've experienced this yourself, everyone says it, and they say it because it's true, that when you simplify a space for kids, it does wonders for them in terms of playing and in terms of having the space and the freedom to do imaginative play. And it's incredible to watch. Our living room is staged at the moment and I won't go into all of it in this video, but our living room is staged at the moment. So we took some of the furniture out of here to open it up even a little bit more than we already had it. So we took out the bench that was by the front door, we took out the coffee table, and just left in the chairs and like our sofa and stuff like that. And I was really worried because basically we took out of this room the primary things that the kids play with: the bench that had all their Duplo blocks, magnet tiles, and train set in them, and the coffee table that had all their random toys in it. And I was so sure the next morning they were gonna get up and just be like, where are are all our toys, And they did ask, but they didn't even ask right away. They just came out into the living room. They started playing quietly with, I don't even know what, but kids find stuff. The empty paper towel roll, they were playing with stuff from around the house. And then eventually, partway through the morning, my youngest child said, "Where's the coffee table?" And it was like, oh, and we'd put it in the garage, but we intentionally left everything accessible so we could pull their toys out. We didn't want them to feel like, we had packed everything away and they couldn't reach their toys. And so we had left those things accessible, but it just cracked me up that it took quite a while for them to even notice, oh, literally all of our toys are out of this room. And of course, we've pulled, like I showed you, we've pulled the bins back in. They're playing with the train set, they're playing with the Duplo blocks and so on. So obviously they're playing with those toys, but pulling them out one at a time and playing with them in the living room has been amazing. And then I've observed several times where they have just kind of made up little games with each other and they're just playing out here and there's not a toy in sight. And I'm like, what are they even, like I said, sometimes they'll pick up something random from around the house and they'll be playing with that or pretending it's something. But I have just been amazed because I didn't mean for this to be an experiment in like clearing all the toys out, but it just sort of circumstances kind of allowed that to happen. And it's been incredible to watch the kids playing in this big open space with their imaginations and no toys close at hand. And so I just want to encourage you that this can be really scary. It can be a big adjustment, but it can also be incredibly wonderful watching your kids find things to do and find different ways to play and just letting their imaginations just run wild. It's been really fun. So for common areas, the big thing that I am always wanting to ask myself is, what do I want to accomplish with this space? What's the purpose of this space? It's easy to answer for things like the kitchen, obviously, that's where you cook, and for the bedrooms, that's where you sleep. But what is happening in the living room? What's happening in the family room? What's happening in a den? What's happening in a playroom? I feel so strongly about this because these are the areas where life happens. This is where your kids are playing. This is where you're having people over. That's a huge one. But all of these things are happening in these common areas. And when people walk into our home, I want people to feel a sense of peace, a sense of relaxation, a sense that they can just kick their shoes off and sit down wherever and just feel totally comfortable. And that our house doesn't feel like sterile, minimalistic to the point of like being cold and austere, coming in and just feeling like there's room to breathe in here. There's space to just sit and enjoy, and there's not stuff coming at you from every direction. And so that is really the heart of what I want to do in our common areas. And so I declutter and I organize and I simplify this area with that in mind. Hey, I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, like and subscribe. And if you're interested in seeing more from the Simplifying Our Home series, I've linked the playlist stuff right here. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
It's as simple as it seems, the twinkle in your eyes, the way that time slows down when you kiss me, as we fall asleep in a bed of butterflies.